And we are back.
And we're back.
Oh, yeah.
Back to you live with another Ben Squared episode.
Yeah, dude. Same house, different location, so it looks like we're ballers.
I love it, dude.
We are ballers.
We are ballers.
Fuck yeah.
Oh,
My
man.
mic's totally not picking up on this. Don't got the angles, but
It's not doing it?
we ball. No, it's all right. It'll be all right.
Yeah, it's all right. It's not the most perfect setup, but
Hear me?
I hope so.
Yeah, dude.
Can you hear me? Looks good. All systems are go.
And we're leaving this whole thing in unclipped, yeah?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We're going to leave this all in unclipped?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like it. All right. Well,
Being fun, fresh, goofy, funny.
yeah, dude.
Ballers. Moving my mic around while we're already in full swing. Hell yeah.
Oh, man.
What's on your mind?
I mean, I think, like, what's on my mind is just how fucking cool this is.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, feeling grateful for this. There's also other things that are on my mind in terms of just, like, the mind continues to race a little bit into the future of, like, okay, we got to do this. I got to do this. I got to post a piece of content. I got to do some, like, story posts on IG. So that stuff still comes in.
Do you have to do those things?
I don't have to.
What happens if you don't do them?
Well, I mean, I think one is then I get stressed because I think I have to, right? So if I don't and I think I have to, then there's the stress that comes in. But then also it's like, okay, if I don't do these things, I don't continue to engage the people that I want to serve, and then I don't move the needle forward and actually like helping people and getting the things done that I want to get done in order to help people in a way that I want to help them.
Definitely puts a lot of makes the stakes high. Yeah.
Yeah.
To not do exactly that. You, right here, right now, in yourself, though. What happens if you don't do those things?
Nothing.
Your internal state isn't affected by what goes on in your job and your career.
Yep.
It's all in here.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I definitely feel you though. But it kind of comes back to what we talked about last time, which is like this whole idea of like it has to be a grind, right?
Yeah.
And I think, something that I think is interesting is like, how can we reframe all of these have tos to get tos? It's like, I get to show people what I'm doing with my life. Like, look where we are.
Yeah.
Like, how can
Yeah.
I make this something that's fun for people and that they connect with? How can it be something that is fun for me and that I connect with and that I feel like I want to do, as opposed to, like we talked about last time, checking the boxes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, I
What
think
would have to happen?
it's like that's ultimately the goal. I think what would have to happen is a lot of what we've talked about in terms of just that mic, dude. I love it.
It's a disaster.
I love it. You're
Living lavish.
yeah. It's got to be able to tighten in some way.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
I think it's partially yeah. It's like I just want to like live and experience and travel and have fun and talk about it and share it and show people that it's possible. But at the same time, in order to show people that it's possible, there's so many different nuanced pieces to actually running a business where you're able to do that, right? Where we're able to sit here and also be able to not only bring it to people, but also like be able to do this ourselves, right? Because there's also a part where you have to have a functioning business in order to have some sort of income coming in as well for us to be able to do this and then bring it back to people and then show them how we've done it so that it's possible for them, right? So I think it does come down to like, okay, how can I optimize the business to make it so that we can sit in this zone of genius and just travel, have fun, have these conversations, and bring it to the world while having someone else help us with like the admin side, the kind of noise of the business per se.
Definitely resonates.
So I think that's the next step.
I think it's hard, right? Because it's like all of it's conditional on money at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because that's actually something that we've talked about this, but like I've been in such a place of lack in terms of my finances recently, just because of all the investments that I've made and the amount of money I've spent this year is absurd.
Yeah.
Absurd.
Yeah.
I can't even put a number on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Same.
And it's like, it blows my mind. And at the same time, it's like, but we are here.
Yeah.
We are doing that. Right. Yeah. And it's entirely because we were meant to. And so, sure, there's still moving pieces, but we are actively in that zone of genius. We are actively living out that life that we want to show people how to live and what they can do and what's possible, right? And it's like, I don't know. I definitely feel you though. It's very easy. I found myself very in my head lately, just about like, oh my God, this needs to get done. I need to finish my program, but just all this fucking noise. And it's hard because it has this tendency to take over, right? And it's like I feel myself shutting down. Yeah. And it's like I'll go to hop on a call with a potential one-on-one client like the other day, and it's like this fucked up, twisted experience because it's not coming from a place of like genuinely, how can I help this person change their life? But instead it's like, damn, I really need some money in the bank. Like I have to pay you back for the Airbnb. I have to buy my flight to Medellin. I have to pay for the ticket, but it's all just noise, right? It's like none of that's happening now. And so like I'm making a very conscious attempt to just surrender and be like, dude, this is fucking awesome. Yeah. Look at this. Like I'm gonna edit some B-roll in right here. Like, look at where we are and how amazing this is. And like, it's an entirely different experience when you actually allow yourself to sink into what's going on right now instead of all the boxes that have to be checked for you to do the next one of these. Yeah. Right. And it comes down to, this surrender that you talk so much about.
Yeah. I mean, that's it, right? And we get so caught up in the how and what do I do? How do I do this? And we're always worried about the future and this is coming up, this is coming up, this is coming up. And I think that's the trap of the human experience is like, it's that's keeping us stuck.
Right.
And it's the scariest thing to just let go of all of that. And we're like, oh, well, I have to have goals. I have to have plans. Like, I have to have all that. And I'm not saying, like, don't be at least, like, conscious of the time, like, how time's operating. And, yes, there are things that, like, are important to focus on. This is coming up. This is coming up. But spending as much time as we can getting out of our head and into our hearts, which is surrender. Because for me, for a while, it was like, how do I get out of my head and into my heart? Right. It's like, how? Well, the how is you're staying in your head. You're trying to figure out in your head. And the heart, I think the best way to describe it, and this has made the most profound impact on my life, and I'm just so excited to be able to really be operating from this place, is true surrender. And the way that I think about it is like a trust fall. Trust fall into the universe. Trust fall into the moment. Trust fall into life. Because we're worried, if I don't focus on these goals, if I don't focus on this or that, then it's not going to happen. I'm not going to make the money. I'm not going to bring on the clients. I'm not going to be able to get out this piece of content or whatever it is, not just around business, but just life in general. It's like, so we're afraid to just forget about all of that and just be here because we think that if we do forget, that's not going to happen. But that's the paradox, right? Is it's when we truly forget. And so the way that I think about it is trust fall. Like imagine that there's someone that you trust behind you. And if you trust them 100%, you're just going to fall, right? There's a part of you that doesn't really know if you're actually going to get caught, but you trust them. And this is where building a relationship with the universe, with Great Spirit, with God, whatever you want to call it, I used to cringe at this so much. I was like, how do you believe in God? How do you believe in this woo-woo stuff? And now I realize that like it's the most powerful thing that we can believe in because I do believe it's the truth, that there is something greater than us. And I believe that the essence of that, the quality of that is abundance, love, worthiness, gratitude, bliss, peace, like all these amazing things. And that when we say, that is actually what the universe is.
Yeah, I love that visualization because when I think surrender for the longest time, it's like, well, what the fuck does that even mean?
Dude.
I surrender. Like, what am I supposed to, what am I supposed to do? And what I've been doing is literally just a deep breath in, and I relax my shoulders, and with it, I relax my heart. And I don't know, it's literally just like, it's like it's this blissful, I don't know, and it just come right back, and you're here and now. And then it's that every 3 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Every other second, it's just, how many times can you surrender? How much can you take a step away from, oh my God, I have to pay this bill. Oh my God, I owe this person this. Oh my God, I have to get this piece of content out. Oh my God, my stories aren't performing. It is just like, none of it fucking matters.
Yeah.
Like, like with this whole, you talk on this relationship with source or God or spirit or whatever people care to call it, right? But it's like, if you cultivate that, then like that in itself is the trust. Right? Like, if you genuinely believe that there is a greater power at being that has orchestrated all of this, that has led us to being born, to building audiences, to sitting right here having this conversation right now, and for anyone that is watching this, to have whatever is going on in their life, good or bad, right? Then it no longer is good or bad. It just is. It's what it was meant to be, right? And so we get so caught up in these ideas of, this is what's supposed to be happening. I don't like this. I don't like this. And it's like, who the hell do we think we are to, what sort of power or control do we have that we should be able to decide what happens, right? Because it's like, this is infinitely, everything that goes on, it's infinitely more expensive than us. And it's just that little me, I don't like this, the preferences, the stories, the ideas of like what's good and bad. And we just get so caught in it. And then it determines how we experience life, right? It's like, we started this whole podcast off by talking about how you feel stressed because you have this thing and this thing and this thing to do, right? And the reframe that I tried to share with you is like, well, you get to do those things, right? Because some part of you, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, views those things as chores, views those things as what has to get done to move the needle, right? Versus, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
How cool is that, right? How cool is it? Like, and if you don't get it done, then that's what was meant to happen too.
Yeah, dude. And I think that is the truth. Like, at the end of the day, everything it just is what it is. And we create the labels, and our label with it and our problem with it is the problem. The struggle that I have with this, and I'm still like, honestly, a little bit unsure of like how to really work with this, is that it's so easy for us to say that.
Right.
I've lived an amazing life.
Right.
My traumas have been largely surrounded by, like rejection, some bullying, people pleasing, always being praised for being the nice guy, doing right, like all of that, right? Like I haven't had like these traumas and trauma's relative, right? So it's valid to say like these, like I'm not invalidating my own traumas because in that they were real suffering. Led me to a point where I was like, why am I on this planet? Like, does anyone really even love me? Am I really good enough? Like that point, depressed, anxious. Like, so I'm not invalidating that even within myself. And I think that's important. But it's also like, there's people that listen to us and they're like, what do you mean? Like, I was raped or I was abused or my parents left or my parents divorced, like whatever it is, like dark, like things that I can only imagine what that experience was like. And so it's like for us to sit here and say, it's only a problem if you make it a problem.
Right.
It's like, I think it's so important to recognize, yes, that is, I believe, true, but to then come back into the human experience and say, okay, but what is the experience like for you? Like, because it's not just like, because someone that hears that is like, oh, let me just make it not a problem. Like, that's not how it works. There's real things on that subconscious kind of healing side that really needs to be worked through. And so I think as I started this, I'm like, I don't really know how to handle this. I think first it's talking about this. It's bringing this up because there's so many people that, I don't maybe talk about this enough that it's like, I hear you and I see you and I'm sorry that you've gone through this. But I do want you to know that there's more out there and that you can work through this and that you can really live an amazing life wherever you're at, whatever you've gone through. And I think it starts with that, is having someone like us or whoever that looks and just says, I love you and I see you and I want to support you in allowing yourself to feel the feelings that you're feeling. And it's okay that you feel sad. It's okay that you feel rejected. It's okay that you feel like you're not enough. It's okay that you feel hurt. Like the pain that you feel is okay. And I think that's what people think it's not okay to feel it, that they shouldn't. And they see us having this conversation like, oh, so I shouldn't feel like this. I should just say it's, not a problem and it's all in my head. And I think that can become a big trap. And so as soon as we can start accepting, now we can start surrendering a bit. Now we can get into this place of trust. And so, I don't know, I felt called to bring that up because it's something that we don't acknowledge enough, and it's so important.
Yeah. And I think, if you think back to the times that you were at your worst, the darkest moments of your life, it's like, how far would it have gone to just have someone, especially someone that in some sort of way you look up to or you've learned from or whatever, right? Say, hey, I'm sorry, but I see you, I feel your pain, and I want you to understand that you can see the other side, right? That you can get through this. And not even from a place of like, okay, you got to power through, but just from a place of like you just said, it's okay. You are loved, you are worthy, you are deserving of a good life, regardless of all the terrible things that have happened to you, or any of the terrible things that have happened to you. And I think it's so hard to speak to these sorts of things because our human experience is so limited, right?
Yeah.
Like you and I have both been raised in good households with families who love us, and that is such an incredible blessing, right? And it's like I used to feel guilty for that, right?
Yeah.
I used to feel like,
me too.
I shouldn't, who am I to even speak on this type of stuff when I have no idea the terrible things that people have undergone in their lives, right? And in a lot of ways, I do still feel that way, right? Like there is situations where I feel super uncomfortable, like things that I just don't want to speak on because I don't know what someone's going through, right? But it doesn't have to be, hey, I had this and I was blessed in this way, and so I've been able to do all this with my life. It doesn't have to come from a place of me, like I said a minute ago. It just has to be, hey, human being to human being, I hear you. I appreciate your struggles, right? And like giving them the space to recognize that there is someone out there in the world that cares about them, whether I've met them or know their name or ever will, right?
I think too is even this idea of like, you're going to be okay. We can get through this. I think sometimes even that isn't what people need. They don't I think because it's like, you're going to get through this is telling us like, this is bad. This is, we're going to get out of this. And so then we continue the rejection. And I think a lot of times all we really need is just a hug. It's not even, hey, I'm going to help you through this or you can get through this. It's like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. And then just holding space with the pain that you feel and not needing to go anywhere else. It goes back to this moment of just being present with it, not looking into the future when we're going to be out of this, being in it right there and accepting it and just being able to, when you're in that space, it's so hard, but being able to be embraced by someone, I think we forget so much how important physical touch is, how much having just a hug from someone. I mean, how many people out there just don't have that experience after after a certain age? It's like sometimes a lot of people's parents, you stop hugging each other the same way. It's more of I don't even know. It's just, it's more of a formality sometimes. Right. And sometimes it's just so powerful to just
a full embrace,
and just embrace. Be there. And could you imagine? I mean, sometimes there's probably points where, imagine how good that would feel. Yeah. Someone not trying to solve anything, but allowing you to just be you in all of your pain. Feel and see the amazingness in your pain and that you're good enough in the pain. And all of a sudden, it's that. We've brought now that darkness into light. And it's okay. Yeah. And then it's okay, now what can we do to move forward?
Perfect timing.
That was great timing.
And that's that's that for this one. Yeah.
And that's a wrap. You got to hop on a client call with an amazing client, and we'll see you in the next one.